You can watch it slowly creep.
Are we buffering?
We should be good.
Okay. All right. We'd like to welcome you to the December 14th North Logan City Council meeting. We have kind of a unique setup today, so we'd also like to welcome the High Park Cemetery Maintenance Board District, Brian Balls, Cody Johnson, Jen Bruff, Alma Brown, and Rachel Willis. Looks like we also have a full council today. We'll begin today with a pledge by Emily and a prayer by Craig.
Please stand and repeat after me.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our Father in heaven, we begin this community meeting this night. We're grateful for the season. We're grateful for what brings us together. We ask for the blessing in our community. We ask for the blessing of our employees and all those that volunteer to make our community better. We ask that we be blessed and make wise decisions for all those involved this night. And we say this in the name of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Thank you, Emily and Craig. I would entertain a motion to adopt tonight's agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Buzzy, second by Emily, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. We do have one set of minutes from our previous city council meetings that were sent out yesterday. Do I have a motion to approve those meeting minutes?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Craig, second by Buzzy. Let me just get the date on those. Do you know that off the top of your head, Alan?
November 16th.
Okay, November 16th. All right, so motion by Craig, second by Buzzy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes. Alan, do we have any follow-up issues or action items you'd like to go over?
I'll just jump through and I might skip through a few of them because we'll talk about them later in the meeting.
Okay.
But just jumping through here, civic center design process, we'll go over that near the end of the meeting. It's on the agenda. Garbage RFP. There was an interview today. There'll be a few more interviews with the prospective private haulers that are coming in and meeting with the mayors that are part of the cash waste consortium. And then jumping down through here, water, they're still prepping for the site and they'll begin drilling soon. I think the end date for that contract is in January. And then there's a new lead and copper rule from the state. So we have to update that as we go through that. Sewer, they're going through and they found some infiltration areas. So that's what they're looking at now. And I think they've localized them. The past few years, they've actually buttoned up several portions of the system to have a little less infiltration into the sewer system. That's groundwater or surface water getting into our system. Streets, obviously, hats off to them. The past several days, they've been doing a fantastic job with clearing snow along with the other departments that are helping them, which is obviously parks and utilities. And so thanks to each of them for going around. And then obviously the repairs that go along with that. So it's just a never ending battle for the next few months. But thanks to each of them for doing that. Just jumping down through here, engineering, they're working on each of the things that we've gone over, in addition to some of the items on 12th East, as we're moving ahead with that COG project to tie in that portion of that road. Jumping down through, Parks is obviously helping out, not only with planning, we'll hear from them tonight about a project they're working on, but they're also helping out with the snow removal, as mentioned before. Bonneville Shoreline Trail, we've been working on the designs. There is a new county planner that we're working with. His name's Landis, and we're moving that ahead. And when the county gets a new county attorney, we'll work with several areas moving that forward as well. That should be the next couple months is what we're hearing. Recreation, they are very busy right now. They've got all their basketball set up. I guess they have 180 teams. I think that's double any other city in the valley for basketball participation. So that's up to Jesse and his his crew for putting that together. But they also have several things coming up. The Christmas lighting contest, the judging's today. So they'll announce those winners on social media. So watch for that around the community. Then they have the New Year's at noon and NFL Combine and everything coming up at the end of the month. So look at the newsletter and the announcements that Jesse sends out via email for those events coming up. Cemetery, we'll talk about a few things tonight, but the main thing that they're looking into is finalizing that secondary irrigation connection. And Ryan's been working with the canal board on that. Community development. We have to update our moderate income housing plan along with about 50% of the cities throughout the state. And Scott's been working with the state on that, getting that finalized. The agenda tomorrow is fairly busy. It's a lengthy agenda for the Planning Commission. So to see that agenda and the things that he's put together for that discussion. Jumping down through here, human resources, there's several things we're working on with the different departments, related travel policies, related to a few other things. So you'll see that in the next few weeks because those changes require us bringing that before the city council. So watch for those. And then we'll have a budget adjustment, most likely a revision. We usually do 2 revisions, one in the mid-year and then one at the end of the year. And so you'll probably see a public hearing regarding a requested revision sometime in January. So watch for that. And Scott's been putting those together along with a lot of end of year accounting with Karen that they've been doing. A library, they have several things coming up. We'll go over the major events that the library has planned at the end of the meeting when we go over upcoming events, the gala that's coming up, the fundraising gala, and other things that they've been doing. They had Santa here this last week, which was a very well attended event. Police, they have several things going on, and we've been working with them on items relating to budget, future expansion of the building, which the discussions are going really well. Fire department, they've done a fantastic job in lining up a few grants, and one is the Dennis Leary grant, and that is actually that you're not hearing that incorrectly. That's the actor, and apparently they've lined up the Dennis Leary grant, which is tens of thousands of dollars that will go towards the extraction equipment. So like the Jaws of Life, where it goes from a hydraulic equipment. This is my understanding. Craig, correct me if I'm wrong. To an extrication. Sorry. Wow. I butchered that horribly. I'm sorry. But regardless, it is exciting. And it's the equipment that goes towards it's hydraulic equipment beforehand. Now that it's electric equipment, which is a lot more efficient, lighter, and easier to use and more effective. So hats off to them for lining that up. That's incredible. And then they're working on their new station, their downtown station in Logan, which will be exciting for all the different communities that work with Logan on that. Sorry, I jumped through those really quick. If there's anything else or any other updates.
No, those are all great news. So kudos to you guys, especially on that grant. Okay, then we'll move on to recognition of exemplary staff members. Tonight, that is Karen Jukes from HR and Payroll and Mary Corey, the administrative clerk. They were nominated by Marie Power. She says, I'm nominating Karen Jukes and Mary Corey for all of their hard work for this year's North Logan City Employee Christmas Party. Karen put in a great deal of effort, imagination, planning, and time, creating and putting out the beautiful decorations at the party for all to enjoy, including putting together the menu and the catering for the delicious meal. Mary was also incredibly helpful in spending many hours putting the decorating together and helping Karen with everything. When I was thanking Karen, she was quick to give Mary credit and explain what a huge help she was to her. I know there were many hands that helped put that evening together and make it fun, and I'm sorry for not nominating all of them. It's just that I'm personally aware of all that Karen did and watched Mary spend time and effort in our offices putting all of the beautiful decorations together. I so appreciate Karen wanting to make the party beautiful as well as delicious for everyone, and for Mary's assistance in helping Karen to make it all happen. I'd like to add my thank you to Karen and Mary as well. That party was wonderful, and I don't have a lot to compare it with, but it was a super fun city party. So thank you for your hard work. Let's give them a hand of applause. Okay, we will move on to our current action items. The first is a public hearing to receive public input on the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District, adjusting the boundaries to exclude all North Logan City parcels from the HPCMD's district boundaries and taxing authority. Alan, I can give the background on this unless you'd like to take that. So this has been a really lengthy process. In the inception of the Hyde Park Cemetery District, the district boundaries included 683 present and future North Logan property parcels. In 2022, North Logan residents paid $22,712 or 23% of the total taxes levied to pay for the Hyde Park Cemetery. With the founding of the North Logan Cemetery in 2008, those North Logan residents have essentially been paying two taxes. In other words, they're paying for North Logan City Cemetery with a portion of their annual North Logan City taxes while also paying a specific tax for the Hyde Park Cemetery. I've personally received a lot of input from North Logan residents, both formally and informally, and they express similar sentiments. Many of these residents either already own a North Logan Cemetery plot or have no intention of purchasing a plot in the Hyde Park Cemetery. They resent being forced to pay Hyde Park Cemetery tax for the previous years and vehemently want to be released from the district. Recently, the county council appointed 3 North Logan residents to the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District Board, and the board has voted to consider a resolution to adjust the boundaries of the district to remove North Logan residents tonight. So that is the motion that we're considering tonight. And unless there's additional comments, we can open up that public hearing. I do have some rules for that public hearing. So before you begin, please state your name for the record. Please speak into the microphone so your comments can be recorded. Please limit your statements to 2 minutes. If you're also speaking on behalf of others, you may ask the chairman for more time. Please phrase your opinions in the form of statements, not questions. A public hearing is your opportunity to express your opinions to the city council. It is not a time to ask questions and expect dialogue between yourself and the council or city staff. Please address your comments to the council, not to the public. The council may ask you questions about your comments in order for them to better understand you. If you have questions or need to discuss an issue, please meet with the city council members or the appropriate city staff member before the public hearing where dialogue can take place. You may provide a written statement as your input for a hearing. You may read your entire statement or summarize it. The 2-minute limit applies. You may provide a copy of a written statement to the city recorder. He will make copies for the city council. The written comments, if a copy is provided, become a part of the public record, but are not included in the minutes of the meeting. So I do have some public comments that I've had emailed to me that I will read into the record at this time, after which I will turn it over to public comment. Elaine Nelson says, thank you for holding the upcoming public hearing relating to the Hyde Park Cemetery District. For decades, I have suggested this resolution without success. I wholeheartedly agree moving forward. Our city's residents should be forever grateful to Mayor Jack Draxler for his part in helping North Logan City purchase property and bringing our cemetery to fruition. Katie and Stephen Weber, thank you so much for bringing this to our attention that we are being double charged for cemetery dues. Why are we paying Hyde Park Cemetery when none of us will ever use it? This seems very suspicious and I think it should be investigated further. Of course, we want out of this Hyde Park Cemetery zoning, and everyone I've talked to in my neighborhood about this are outraged. From William and Trina Shelton, dear Mayor Peterson, my wife Trina and I moved to North Logan in 1983. We have built 2 homes and raised our children here. For just a few months shy of 40 years, we have donated to the city of Hyde Park to support the care and upkeep of their cemetery. At no point have we ever planned on using that facility for ourselves. We own plots in the North Logan Cemetery and someday we'll use them as our last address. Please add our names to this list of to the list of those who would like to be removed from the Hyde Park Cemetery District. We recognize the need for this type of service, but have and always will call North Logan home. For too many years, a very large group of residents here have had the burden of paying twice for something we will only ever use once, in effect, a double tax. We appreciate the efforts made to rectify the situation and add our support to the cause. Connie Peterson says, I have lived in North Logan for almost 16 years and have wondered why we pay taxes to Hyde Park. I would love to see it change so we pay for our own cemetery. I'm all for it. Thanks for working with us on this matter. Jeff and Shari Shields, please pass a law that allows us to pay the cemetery tax to our North Logan Cemetery only. Linda Cooley, thank you for your work on this issue. I own property in the area, but will not be attending the meeting. I would be in favor of removing the tax, realizing that Hyde Park resident privileges would no longer be available. Adam Zetterquist, I'm aware of the Hyde Park Cemetery District and the taxation that some North Logan residents pay as part of their property taxes, in addition to the taxes that are paid to North Logan to maintain the North Logan Cemetery. Since both jurisdictions have their own cemetery within their city limits that can serve their residents, now is the appropriate time to address this issue and to remove North Logan residents from the Hyde Park Cemetery boundary. In doing so, this would allow us not to be taxed twice for the same service and to not be taxed for another city's amenity that most North Logan residents will not utilize. Please express my support at the public hearing to remove North Logan residents from the Hyde Park Cemetery District boundary and property tax by redrawing the boundary for the district. Marissa Zetterquist, our household has been aware of the Hyde Park Cemetery District taxation for some time now. We've always questioned why North Logan residents pay property taxes, not only for the North Logan Cemetery, but the Hyde Park Cemetery as well. Since both jurisdictions have their own cemetery within city limits, it doesn't make sense for us to be paying for both. I'm sure there were justifiable reasons when this was put in place, but it's time to address this issue and remove North Logan residents from the Hyde Park City Cemetery boundary. In doing so, we would no longer be taxed twice for the same service, nor for another city's amenity, especially since this is an amenity that most North Logan residents will not utilize. We thank you for your invaluable service for our community and ask that you please express our support at the public hearing to remove North Logan residents from the Hyde Park City Cemetery District boundary and property tax by redrawing the boundary for the district. Larry Hepworth, our household has been aware of the Hyde Park Cemetery District taxation for some time now. We've always questioned why North Logan residents pay property taxes, not only for the North Logan Cemetery, but the Hyde Park Cemetery as well. Since both jurisdictions have their own cemetery within city limits, it doesn't make sense for us to be paying for both. We thank you for your invaluable service and ask that you please express our support at the public hearing to remove North Logan residents from the Hyde Park City Cemetery District boundary and property tax by redrawing the boundary for the district. Two more. Julie Benyon. We own property in North Logan and would like our address to be removed from the Hyde Park City Cemetery District. We are in favor of realignment of boundaries to make this possible. We prefer not to pay property taxes for Hyde Park Cemetery. And then finally, Scott and Linda Bennett. I'm aware of the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District taxation that some North Logan residents pay as part of their property taxes, in addition to the taxes that are paid to North Logan to maintain the North Logan Cemetery. Since HPCMD Cemetery and North Logan Cemetery currently serve North Logan residents in District Code 13, now is the appropriate time to address this issue and to remove North Logan residents from the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District boundary. In doing so, this would allow us to forego being double taxed by two different entities, each providing the same type of service and for which most North Logan residents, my family included, will not utilize. Please express my support at the public hearing to remove North Logan residents from the HPCMD boundary and taxation authority by redrawing the boundary for the district to exclude North Logan parcels. That concludes the written comments that I've received. And I would now turn the time over for public comment in person.
I'm Nancy Potter. I was on the cemetery committee when it first started back in 1998. So it's been 24 years. We have tried so many ways to get North Logan out of the Hyde Park Cemetery District. We first started with our city attorneys and the county attorney, and they said we couldn't because we were not a district. North Logan was not a district. So North Logan people couldn't leave the Hyde Park District until we had a cemetery to a district for them to go into. We had people that did not want us to have a district. And so we just kind of were really frustrated with that. And so for years, I've been trying to get people on from North Logan onto the cemetery district for Hyde Park. Elaine Nelson, which I was glad she had wrote a message. She was one of the ones that said we were going to have her be the one that if we could get it on there. But I was watching the public notices in the newspaper for over 20 years to when they would have an opening come up. And every time it was just one person, I never could get anybody on. And then recently, when they had the public notice that came out, said there were 5 positions open, I got that to Alan Luce that day. And I said, here's our chance. So for over 20 years, we have been trying to find a solution for this. And this is the time. And this is the solution to get us out of the Hyde Park Cemetery District. And so it's just been really frustrating for over 20 years. And this is something that needs to be resolved. We've been trying as a committee. There's only 2 of us from the original committee that are still alive. So, because there were 10 of us before, and all of them have passed away. The dedication we had was in 2008. So it took us 10 years from when we had the first meeting to when we actually dedicated the cemetery. So from 10 years from that, now we've got another 14 years. So we have been working on this for a long, long time, and there was always a block. And now is the time that we can do this. So please vote to take us out of the Hyde Park Cemetery District.
Thank you, Nancy.
My name is Aaron Bruff, and I don't want to be repetitive with what's been spoken already, but I want to express my support for removing North Logan from the Hyde Park Cemetery District. Another concern that I have is the lack of transparency for how the funds are being used. We've tried to, get records of what's being done in terms of usage of the taxes that are being paid. And I still haven't seen anything in terms of, what the expenses are. And so I think that's also a concern that I have, and another reason I want to be removed.
Thank you, Mr. Ruff.
I'm Tom Hess. I'm looking at a map and I can't tell if I'm in there or not. I'm right on the Hyde Park boundary. I'm on 815 East, 2950 North. I think I'm in there. I hope I'm in there.
Have you gotten a message saying that you are?
Based on this map, you would be in there. 815 East, 2900 North,
2950.
2950, you would be in the district.
So we're
Okay.
good.
Yes,
Yeah.
you are welcome to
I'm
speak.
not gonna repeat it all too, because I'm just grateful for all the people that worked on this. Thank you. It's been a fight, so I appreciate everything that everybody on the committee has done to get this done. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hess.
My name is Brian Hunt. I've been a resident of North Logan for 24 plus years. Agreement with what everybody else is doing. I've been, wondering why we're paying taxes in the Hyde Park Cemetery District, and I can understand it before North Logan had a cemetery, but now that we have our own cemetery, that's where my wife and I will choose to be buried when that time comes. And even though we've been paying taxes to the Hyde Park Cemetery District, we'd plan to be in North Logan. We'd much rather have our taxes be supporting North Logan and not be paying in Hyde Park. Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Hunt. Any other public comments? Seeing none, I will close the public hearing portion of the public hearing and open it up for discussion among the council. Any discussion among the council today?
I mean, this seems like a pretty clear cut case of us voting to get out. I have no discussion to say. The public is in support. I'm in support. It sounds great.
Okay, I'm surmising there's an emotion in that.
Sorry, I can make, I was wanting to see if anybody else had any discussion. If not, I would like to make a motion. Oh, sorry, Joni has something to say.
I would like to thank Nancy Potter and any of those that were helping along the last several years to try and make this happen. I appreciate that energy and the time that they've committed to this. So I want to make that a public. Thank you.
Okay. Motion to adjust the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District to exclude all North Logan City parcels from the boundaries and taxing authority.
Okay, motion by Emily,
I'll second.
second by Joni, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion is unanimous. We'll now kind of do an exercise that's a little bit unusual, but I will cede the chair position to Chairman Balls to conduct a Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District Board meeting within our meeting. So Chairman Balls, you can take over. Oh, yeah, we'll pass you. This one. And then give them. Yeah.
Yeah, this was long.
Buzzy, stop trying to give away your microphone.
Hey, I'm gonna call to order the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District. Let's have to vote or approval of the agenda. First, you make a motion, second it.
I'll second it.
Okay, good. We can either approve the minutes from the last meeting or we can just table that till the next meeting.
I make a motion that we table those till next
Okay.
meeting.
Second it.
Second.
Okay. Now we'll go to the public hearing. We've done the public hearing is to receive public input on the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District, adjusting their boundaries to exclude all North Logan City parcels from Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District boundaries and taxing authority as follows. All property within District Code 013, which is the district code definition of Logan City with Hyde Park Cemetery, will be relinquished from the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District. Will be under the jurisdictional authority of North Logan City. Will be designated with district code 011, which has the district code definition of North Logan City without the cemetery. Is there any discussion on this? No discussion?
I move that we approve the adjustment of the Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District boundaries to exclude North Logan residents as shown in the map provided in the notice of the meeting.
I second that emotion.
Okay, is there any discussion? Okay, I just want to read one thing in, and this is just the letter that I sent to all of you. It just says, legal counsel has advised me that the content of our current resolution to adjust the boundaries of Hyde Park Cemetery District may be argued that with this withdrawal from the special district, that there should be done with as a withdrawal from the district rather than a boundary adjustment. The boundary adjustment method 417 appoints looking at how change might adversely affect the Hyde Park Cemetery District. So obligations to citizens and third-party creditors. Thus, the most important Hyde Park Cemetery Board members may be in violating of fiduciary duties by signing off on this without looking into this, certifying the signatures that approval will not result in any concern put forth in 17B-1-510, section 3A through F. As president of the Hyde Park Cemetery Board, I respectfully remind you of the fiduciary duty, which is to ensure that this act will not violate the district's obligations to its members or any third-party entity by impairing its ability to meet obligations to such parties and to continue to provide adequate service to all members of the district. And failing to do so, board members may be liable for potential fallout. In holding a public meeting on this matter, the board must be prepared to explain the potential damage to the service district based on findings and financial inputs study respecting this matter, which has not yet been done. And accepting appointment to the Hyde Park Cemetery District Board of Trustees, you're under obligation to act in the best interest of the Hyde Park Cemetery District and uphold the fiduciary duty. Violation of fiduciary duty in this particular matter could see to be as a conflict of personal gain. To this end, I request that we postpone the public hearing on this matter until a financial impact study has been completed. And this we had to respond by Monday. Sincerely, Brian Arballs, President, Hyde Park Cemetery Maintenance District. Then with that,
We just had the public hearing, right?
Yeah, but just for, but for the record, just got to put that in there. Okay. So now do we want to, any other discussion?
I don't think so.
Then I guess we vote. If somebody has a motion on that. Okay. All in favor of moving and North Logan City out of the Hyde Park Cemetery District?
Aye.
Opposed? Aye. So it passes on a 4-1. Then just quick couple things. Any old business we need to discuss or table anything that we had at our other meeting? New business is we'll have another board meeting Tuesday, December 27th at 7 p.m. at the Civic Center. And I'll send you out an agenda when we get that put together. And then with that, we'll adjourn our board.
Motion to adjourn.
Okay.
Oh, okay, we'll consider that adjourned. Thank you again for your service as board members. And you guys are welcome to stay there, or you're also welcome to leave, whatever. I can't promise anything exciting is happening after this.
We have an awesome agenda.
We do.
today. It's too cold anyway outside.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Alma.
Okay, thanks again for the public input on this. I'll reiterate that every time we have a public hearing where people actually attend, I appreciate this community that people are willing to show up and help us make good decisions as your representatives. Thanks, Nancy. Okay, we will move on to a public hearing regarding a request to vacate a 10-foot public utility easement located along the south side property line of Lot 4 of Ridgeview Estate subdivision, 2685 Ridgeview Drive. Once the public hearing has taken place, the city council may consider the vacation of the aforementioned PUE. Yeah, Scott, if you could give us background, that'd be great.
Okay, thank you. So yeah, we're looking just on the map here, the far south side of this subdivision. The owners are currently working on building a home. They had submitted a building permit for a single family residence a couple months back. Recently, they submitted another building permit request for a retaining wall along the southern boundary of their lot 4. It's a 10-foot public utility easement. You see there circled in red. There's a little bit of grade that falls to the south. And I'd like to retain that up in order to make more useful space on their lot. So they had formally requested to vacate that easement. We took a look at it, noticed a public hearing, and then started looking at it in more detail. What we found is if you scroll down to the next exhibit, Exhibit C, our mapping records show there's a sewer line on the north side of the property. There's a water line in Ridgeview Drive, but it looks like our mapping isn't quite up to date yet on stormwater. So when we looked at the as-built drawings, which is Exhibit D, we found that there's actually a 15-inch storm drain pipe that traverses that easement along the southern property line and feeds stormwater through an inlet box on the road west into a pond in that southwest corner of lot 5. So having found this, our recommendation would formally to be not to vacate that easement. We can continue working with that property owner on maybe some alternatives and how to retain but keep that easement in place for long-term maintenance. And then maybe if we find a resolution, maybe we can vacate a portion of that at a future discussion, or as development occurs, further south, there may be some opportunities to move some of that infrastructure around. Not very likely, but they would have to work with that property owner to the south. So the formal recommendation is to not vacate this easement, but happy to answer any questions you might have on this request.
Your recommendation is that we do not.
We do not. We need to keep it in place just as there is infrastructure in the easement currently.
Okay,
This-
so that would have to be modified. Okay.
Should we do the public hearing?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, formal recommendation from staff. It is noticed for a public hearing, because that is the formal process if we were to vacate an easement. Just know that from our findings, staff does recommend that we not vacate the easement.
So I'm wondering if we table this and then hold the public hearing.
You certainly could. The process is if we want to consider it and we find that there's reason to vacate the easement, we can. We can table it, or we can close this item. They can reapply when and if a resolution has been found to allow for the vacation in the future. But that's up to you guys.
I think I'd favor doing the public hearing at a later date, just given that we don't intend to vacate it.
Yeah.
So I would entertain that motion to,
Table the public hearing for the regarding the request to vacate the 10-foot PUE.
I have a couple questions.
Oh, never mind.
Sorry, I can wait till you motion.
No, never mind.
Further
Go
discussion.
ahead.
You sure?
Yeah, I'm not good at motioning, so it'll take me a second anyway.
So Scott, for this lot, the request for vacating this was there something they wanted to do with that area specifically?
Yeah, so the retaining wall would be on that southern boundary. The way the grade runs is it falls to the south. So as you go to the north, it goes uphill. They're trying to retain on that southern property line to build up their
I see.
area by their driveway.
And this isn't the same. Is this the same lot we looked at a month ago?
This is a separate request.
Okay, it is individual. Okay,
Mhm.
that's where I'm confused.
Yep.
Yeah, that floor plan's different, isn't it? Okay, sorry, Ann. It's all yours.
okay, so I have,
Oh, hang on, Emily.
It's okay.
property owners know
that
pipe runs there? Or did they not before? Or do they now? They had an idea that there was something there. There is a drain inlet right on the southeast corner in the road. So the gutter catches that storm drain and then it conveys it to the storm drain detention basin over in the rear. So they knew there was something there. They didn't know exactly where that line was. So as we investigated it after the request came in, we found that it was in fact in the easement. And so that's why they requested it. We had to say, hey, there's something in there. We need to have further discussions before we can just remove the easement.
So you've spoken with them.
We spoke with the contractor. So the contractor who's
Okay.
building the home is their agent that submitted the application. We've actually had a hard time getting a hold of a contractor the last several days. So I'm not sure if the homeowner has been filled in or not. We don't have their contact information directly. So we'll continue reaching out to them and try to resolve this.
Thanks, Scott.
thanks, Scott.
Okay.
Okay, well, first of all, Scott, I just want to really thank you for making such easy to read reports.
Sure.
Because it made me have no questions for this. I would like to motion to table the public hearing regarding the request to vacate the 10-foot PUE on the south side of the property line of Lot 4 Ridgeview Estates.
Second.
I think we're tabling the request, right?
Sorry, I'm so sorry. We're tabling the request sorry, is it not a request for a public hearing?
You're okay, Emily.
Never
I
mind.
got you covered. So she has motioned to table the
See,
request to vacate
Was lying.
and postpone the public hearing until a later date.
Right. An alternative is if you could vote to just deny the request as it's currently requested or
Yeah,
presented.
let's do that. But then,
would have to
do we
read it.
need the public hearing?
So
I think
Okay.
Roger should make the motion now because I've done it twice. and it's
I
failed.
heard that Emily said that she motioned to deny this application
You know
to
what?
vacate.
Just-
I seconded.
Okay, second by Buzzy.
I
All
don't
in
need to vote
favor?
now, though. Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, that motion passes unanimously.
thank you.
Okay, thanks, Scott. We will move on to item 4, consider authorizing the mayor to sign a cooperative agreement regarding signalized intersections along Highway 91. Alan, what's your pleasure? You want me to take this or?
I can start out just briefly and then
Okay.
Mayor, you want to run with it after that. What it is along, we call it Main Street, Highway 91. There's an agreement between several cities. Those cities are North Logan, Hyde Park, Smithfield, and the county. Because there's county property unincorporated in between a few of the cities as you go along through that route. And it's an agreement as to where each of the municipalities would like to place a future signalized intersection, a traffic light along Highway 91. And when they go through this, it's basically a recommendation to UDOT, and the cities try to follow UDOT standards for signalized intersections. So this is looking into the future and where they would like intersections. But just so you know how this works, this kind of came about, I bet, around 1995. They put together this agreement between the municipalities, and it's pretty exemplary that the cities do this and work together collaboratively to put together that agreement, because it gives UDOT a direction as to where the cities would like to be, and it guides where the intersections will be located. And so Hyde Park, as they're planning the extension of Wolfpack Way to the north, along with the future middle school and along with 200 South coming down, they made a request to be located, a future light to be located right here by Moonlight Diesel in Hyde Park City. And North Logan, a few years ago, according to the original agreement, there was a planned intersection at 3100 North. North Logan went to battle for this one. We pushed UDOT very hard to get this light in before the intersection or before the school went in, and luckily it got through at that time. However, this agreement that you'll see is kind of the culmination of all of those discussions, and it gives future locations for all of the future lights where they will be, and they have to be a certain distance from another light, so you don't have them every block, so that traffic can flow through there and it's a safe access along there. And that's the overarching intent. It's usually about a half mile is the minimum distance between a signalized intersection. And so on here, North Logan in the plan, the only one that we're recommending adding is 2850 North, which, if you think about that, is the south side of Heritage Dodge. It'll access to the west side of the road in the future to a road that connects out to 200 West, which is a regionally significant road going north-south. The other cities likewise, so the 3300 North is the one requested by Moonlight Diesel, and then 4200 North, and then 400 North in Smithfield. And so the city's putting together this agreement. Basically, this is an updated version of that agreement. Each of these lights, before they go in, they would have to go through what's called a warrant study with UDOT, where UDOT would have to warrant or make sure that the light does have merit and meet certain criteria before it goes in for safety standards. But this is the city's basically saying, this is where we would all like signalized intersections in the future. These are the only locations we'll put signalized intersections. And then we would push for UDOT at a certain point in the future to do a warrant study when the light is needed. I don't know if that's confusing enough, Mayor, if you want to correct me on anything or clarify what I've stated.
No, I think you nailed it. It's just kind of an anticipated location, and that was the one location that we thought we may want at some point for North Logan.
I'll make a motion that we give Lindsay more traffic power.
Second.
What I heard is that you give me authority to sign the cooperative agreement.
Okay.
I'm really carrying a lot of weight tonight.
I mean, UDOT can override these recommendations, though, can't they? Have ultimate say on
Yes,
91, right?
They do.
Yeah.
However, it does carry a lot of clout if three cities are coming together to recommend a light.
So I had one other question, and I'm fine with signing this one. We've had a lot of talk that UDOT wants to put a light on 4th West on 2500 North.
Mhm.
Do we have something similar in nature to this with them on that one as well, or no?
That is a very good question. Because as you look through here, the logical place for a light would be 200 West, which is a regionally significant road. It goes all the way from the middle of Logan and it will go all the way to Smithfield in the future. 4th West is the same, although it's slower moving or slower as far as the development would take place of that road. But as far as distances go, that's where UDOT would prefer that the light be located.
But we haven't signed, or our mayor hasn't signed anything
No.
that locks us into that like this does on 91.
Correct.
Okay.
They basically indicated that that's where they would prefer a light be located.
Okay. I
Has to
know
be a
that's a
certain-
little off subject, but I was just wondering.
It's a good question because we'd love to solidify things. It helps with planning. It saves money in the long run. It helps residents and businesses know where these lights will be located. But again, nothing solidified at this point on that one.
Yeah, and to Buzzy's point, UDOT has been in these meetings, so they're aware of the discussions that we're having. But as Alan said, it gives us some, I guess, leverage when we agree as a city, as 3 cities to do this. So, I have a motion by Roger. Did I have a second?
Yeah. I think I-
Second by Buzzy. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously.
Have you guys seen 10th West lately? Oh, sad.
Um,
Can't fly down it anymore.
can we keep?
Slow down, slow down.
All right. We will move on to item number 5, consideration of an ordinance amending North Logan City Code, Title 11-604, Winter Street Maintenance, overnight parking prohibited. Alan, you want to give us background?
Yeah, this will be very brief. This last winter, the city council updated the winter parking restrictions to coincide more with what Hyde Park and Logan had. So we don't have very unique parking restrictions. They're not all identical, but they're pretty close to identical across the cities for times and dates for when you can have winter parking on the streets. But this is a very big safety issue. Primarily for our plow drivers who are basically driving through a blizzard and having snow come over the front of the vehicle. And if they're driving those plow trucks in the middle of the night and they stumble upon a car or a vehicle, it is an utter nightmare. It's scary, it's dangerous for the plow drivers, and it's also dangerous from a property aspect for the people that park their vehicles along the road. What this does, this update, is it brings it more in line with a few of the other cities as well. There's additional restrictions. So if there is no curb along the street, well, where can people park? There's nothing in our code right now that states that. And we have some soft shouldered roads throughout the city, meaning a road without a curb, a formal curb. So this says that you have to be 6 feet off, and that matches Hyde Park's. It's very similar to the other cities around us. And so that's one update. The other one specifies kind of the damage. And this is basically just taken from state code. So it's kind of redundant with state code, but it provides an emphasis to that the liability is on the person parking on the road during those hours. If there's damage, if anything else happens, and it doesn't say that basically we can run over any vehicle on the road. That's not the intent. But it is stating that, hey, if you're parking on the road, you really need to be aware if damage, if snow gets pushed against your vehicle, if there's because it can damage. And we occasionally, I think Jordan's damaged a mailbox or Ryan or something along those lines. I've never done that, but it does provide some protection to the city. Just so you know, mailboxes though aren't exempt. When we damage those, that's all on us. We have to come in and repair those.
It was a fast fix too.
When it says,
I have questions too before you.
I was just curious, when it says any kind sustained by the owner, does that mean the owner of the vehicle?
Correct.
Okay.
Because I didn't watch that this week.
Sorry, Craig, did you have something?
I think Craig's going to make a motion, but I have a couple of questions probably for Chief Goodrich and Jordan, maybe even Ryan. Been watching this closely this week, especially my neighborhood. And I'm wondering, just on your professional opinion, if that window is good. And the reason I asked, so I'm driving through after 10 p.m. the last couple nights, and there's vehicles there. And I'm thinking, how many officers do we have that are able to patrol this at midnight on? And then the second question is at 6 a.m., that's an hour before the first school buses come, and it's pitch dark. And so I'm seeing cars that are then out there. So I'm just wondering if this is an opportunity to consider widening that block, if you think it would be useful for your officers and the plow team as well.
So from my understanding, that actually has increased. The initial one was 1 o'clock in the
It
morning.
was.
1 to
Yeah,
5 a.m.
we
So
changed
it
it last
did
year.
increase the hours to coincide with the surrounding communities. That's a good question, Buzz.
Yep. So we had a request tonight from Ryan, actually. So I have one guy on. So usually I'm 1 to 2 guys maybe that are out trying to drive that. And we've been working with the city better this year, I believe, than before, where we're able to get a list of where some of those heavy problem areas are. And our officers are going out and trying to take care of that problem there. It is an issue for them.
Okay. And I guess, Ryan, probably my bigger concern is probably in the morning, because I understand at night people are going to have social gatherings and some of that stuff does seem to wind down by midnight. But are the plow drivers having situations, and I'm thinking about my neighborhood because it's probably the worst, right? And it's pitch dark, but a lot of those kids are out there, I'm noticing on the curb, and there's cars that have been out, and they probably were out there all night, granted, but they might have come, after 6 a.m. before those buses are coming.
I don't see very many cars get parked after that 4 o'clock in the morning. Normally it's been all night long.
Yeah.
It's mainly people dropping it off, so that, but for the most part, if they're not there at 10 o'clock, then at 4 o'clock, they're not there.
Okay. Okay.
We're out hunting for, so they give us a good couple of hours time to get ahead of it.
Cool.
Okay,
Good enough for me.
great. Craig?
And one more hats
Oh.
off to the plotters. That's usually an hour or two before some other surrounding communities. So thanks again to the.
Didn't you say we
plowers
were
for
the best in
doing
the
that.
world now? It went from like the best in
Yeah.
the state county to the state, now the world I saw recently.
Well,
Was that Italy that we surpassed?
we're waiting for someone to
Austria,
challenge
so-
that. And my theory is that we're the best in the valley. And I grew up in a town that shall remain nameless on the Wasatch Front that received a lot more snow than we do. And we were way before they came out to plow. And so on the Wasatch Front, we're way ahead of them. And then if you just start taking states around us and talking with them, we're basically the best in the United States. And then where does it go after that?
I mean,
You tell me if someone comes in and challenges me, I'll gladly accept that.
I
Is
would
there
like
a
to challenge
desig-
you, but I will do it after the meeting.
is there a designation like Tree City? Like, is it like Plow City, USA?
City,
Love
yeah.
the US.
Let's apply for that plaque if we could. Get on
Best
that.
mayor.
Chief,
Plow
maybe,
mayor.
maybe one comment, and I've noticed
Mr. Plow.
just throughout the city, and I'm mainly talking about 1200 East and where Logan, those apartments are. I don't know if it would be helpful maybe just to communicate, because I've noticed our driver has to go up and turn around. We can at least communicate with them. They're not, I think there's enough cops sitting there ticketing right there by the gas station. Why can't they go give tickets to those cars? Because that's the problem where we still have to go up and turn around. And there's 6, 7 cars all the time, and there's snow this high up above them. Just where we border some of those towns in Logan, if they're not policing it, I think just maybe a suggestion. And if they say they don't have enough cops, I can beg to differ. They have plenty of cops to do it. So, yeah, and I think that's just helpful. So I've had a lot of the neighbors, same thing there too. We police it good, but as soon as you hit that foothill wash, it's bad. I mean,
Okay.
It's true.
I was just gonna add, number 3 there, it's nice to have some language there for that liability. Having been accused of breaking windows in a previous life, where I drove snowplow all over North Logan. So
Hypothetically.
hypothetically. So I'll make the motion that we approve the changes to Title 11-604, Winter Street Maintenance and Overnight Parking.
Okay, motion by Craig, second by Joni, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion's unanimous. We'll move on to item number 6, consider approval of a recommended bid for the construction of a pumpkin walk shed at Elk Ridge Park using RAPS funds.
So we did apply for a RAPS grant last year, and we would like to put in a 25 by 60 shed, kind of right where that cursor is, kind of in those trees, to make it so that an easy access point from that parking lot right there. That would be built. It's kind of recessed into the hill, and it would be what it is. That just makes it a better area for the pumpkin walk and the committee, and not having to move over from my sheds all the time, a little closer and better access. We met with multiple companies. We met with these 3 on site. We went down it a ways with Northern Still. We asked them to make a few changes because they did not want to do any of the prep work for the site. That was just to build the shed. And they would not make any changes for us. Ellis did not get back to me on anything. And North Star Buildings came in with a really good bid and really good pricing. So my recommendation would be to go with the North Star Buildings.
Can you elaborate on the RAPS funding? What does that cover?
So the RAPS funding, we got $50,000. And so with that, we were matching. So it's pretty much about half, pretty close to half on that.
And just a point of clarification, the reason this is coming for the city council, you've already approved the RAPS project in and of itself, but the bids you have to approve whenever we have anything over $50,000.
Yeah, it looks like we don't have any other choice here.
Remind us
There's
where you're
one
putting
bid
that.
that
Is it
actually
on
works.
west of the
Yes.
canal?
No, Craig brings up a very good question. So the pumpkin walk basically takes place here, if we're looking at this map, and everyone's familiar with the pumpkin walk. But this kind of epitomizes what the RAPS is intended for. It's intended for tourism and obviously in our parks. There's nothing that can even touch this event with 60,000 people coming to a single park. And as town of 11,000 people. And so putting a shed right here, right now they go over and they use Ryan's fourth bay and his
Used to haul it.
shed. That's where
Oh,
these
we
guys
still
haul
haul
it
it.
from. They haul it over there. And so just putting it here in close proximity. One thing that people don't realize is the people that are participating in this event, they literally come probably every day out of the year, or close to it. And they'll pick up scenes and they'll work on them throughout the entire summer, the winter. So it's not a one time throughout the year. So they need a shed that it can accommodate the growth that they've experienced.
I know that's hard to haul them from there, but we used to haul them from where the streets are.
Oh,
Is that with that price? Does it have a bathroom in it? Holy cow, that seems so
I know.
expensive.
So, okay, thank you
Uh,
for asking. It seemed really high to me, but I also don't know. a
I don't
lot.
know. Probably, I mean, I know.
That's
It's not,
fascinating.
it's not a lifetime shed.
no, it's not a lifetime shed. I mean, it's still
No, that's
reinforced.
a good
It's a pretty
price.
good sturdy shed.
How big
Yeah.
is that shed? And then can you tell me?
So
about
it's 25 by 60. So if you look at our sheds that are over there, it's just a little bit smaller than what those current sheds are.
It's a good size building.
Wow.
Okay. And you said it's going to be recessed into the hill?
Yeah, it's gonna be built into the hill. They'll have to take out some of it. That goes up to this tree up here. So they're gonna have to dig it up, put in a good foundation and then kind of support that back area.
Do
So
we
there is
lose
gonna
any-
be a bit of dirt work, which is,
Do we lose any parking on that?
no, we're gonna build it just behind, well, how I'd like to do it is just behind the sidewalk. So we can kind of use that sidewalk as a good area to stage some stuff. And then it'll be back about 4 feet off that sidewalk and then it'll be built into the hill.
Do you have the remainder? Was it budgeted for 2022? Okay.
Okay, I would entertain a motion on this one.
I move that we approve the bids for the pumpkin walk shed using RAPS funds.
Okay,
Second.
motion by Buzzy, second by Emily, all in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. Thanks, Ryan. All right, we are considering approval of a proposed city council meeting schedule for calendar year 2023.
It's just very quick. Thanks to Scott for putting this together, Scott Perks. This is basically just an estimation. The city council each year has to approve their upcoming calendar year schedule, not fiscal year. So this is 2023 and you approve your tentative schedule. Obviously, changes can be made accordingly with OPMA. But this would be the tentative schedule. The only thing that's really odd on this is just December that goes out of the norm where we normally have the Christmas party on the first Wednesday.
Did we account for the league in
yes.
both April and October?
I
I
have to
just
look
know
at
that-
that.
Oftentimes we'll just do one in April,
It
And one in
was.
October.
right?
What you'd want to do is you can even just approve it with the idea that in April, it's always kind of shooting from the hip. July is kind of the same when you have the 5th and 6th, the first week. And we've just approved the budget, which is a long, arduous process at the end of June. But then April and September are always a question mark because of city
So
league meetings.
2 comments about April. That is the league week. It's
League
the
is
19th to the
17th through
21st. Yeah.
21st.
And then the first week is spring break. Sometimes that affects us on the council. For this,
Yeah.
a bunch of people go
You
out.
can
We've had to
always
miss meetings. Yeah, I
change
know.
this,
I'm
though.
just saying, so you know.
Just wondering if we make that modification
No.
just
Just for the second
briefly
and
and
fourth.
do one on the 12th.
Yeah, that's why I was gonna
Yeah.
recommend the 2nd and the 4th week.
So just do one during that.
No, I actually would be okay doing the second and the fourth week
Budget though, too. I
if
think
we
the
need
2nd
it
and
for
4th,
April.
Yeah, we can do that.
12 and 26.
The only problem with that is that puts you 1 week out from the following meeting in May.
Yeah, so I will not be here that last week of April if, and it is back to back. So I would favor saying, let's do the 12th and then have 3 weeks and do that first week of May.
Okay.
I mean, if someone's gunning for mayor and wants to run that meeting, I'm fine with that.
I think I'm good with wait until May.
Okay, then if we need to modify it, so I think we should approve it with that assumption that we do one in April. if we are feeling like we need another meeting, we can always call one. So,
Sweet. April's
okay,
good.
so I would entertain and make a motion with those edits.
I move that we approve the 2023 council meeting with the April dates removed and the 12th added.
Okay, motion by Buzzy,
Second.
second by Joni, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion passes unanimously. We'll move on to number 8. Consider authorizing the signing of an updated use agreement for the Hanson Family Sports Complex.
Welcome. This agreement we mainly updated just a few sections in it. With the city now managing the building. Which is mainly section 1 through 4. Well, actually 1 through 6, but everything else is pretty much same from the previous one. Yeah, just us managing it rather. Let's see.
Any elaborations on that, Jesse?
As I was reviewing it, what differences from before? Have we been running it this way before, or is all this new?
This is all new. We've just been kind of off to the side and they give us some hours in the facility. Now with this one, we're in full control of the scheduling, getting all the leagues together, which is actually nicer on our end. So I don't have to go ask somebody if the building's open. And it also is a lot better customer service wise. Like we're there, we answer the phone, which is a new concept for people.
So it's kind of more defining what hours are ours, what hours are theirs.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also defining the funding.
Yeah, and most of the times when we use the building, I'll get together with the foundation president and we'll discuss the whole calendar of events and if there is a need for a fee or not, which there won't ever be, but.
So Jesse, sorry, Craig, were you done?
Yeah,
So can you go to section 1, Alan? What I'm hearing from you is that the foundation currently runs the schedule. So this requirement right here to have it specifically soccer focus is already in place and we're just agreeing to keep that. So the foundation right now, these hours are reserved for just soccer. The reason I'm asking is there was a football league on Saturday we were at, there was a Frisbee league. Are we now restricting that use or is this already in place under the foundations?
So this is more of the winter session.
Right.
We do bring in if it's not full, then I'll bring in other stuff. Like, well, Ultimate Frisbee's been there for a couple of years now on Friday nights. And then we do rent it out to a variety of people now.
Okay, so maybe I'm just making this more complex than it should be because Roger wanted to get out early tonight, but it seems awfully aggressive, that section that we're saying, hey, it's soccer exclusively in winter and sorry. And if there's an opening,
sorry, I'll help. Jesse.
Yeah.
Jesse,
Okay.
I was here when it first got drafted.
Yeah.
And so kind of just some background on it. When the building was first built, Deloitte came in and when he built it, he wanted it for the community. You guys probably, some of you were here. Roger was here. So when he first built it, he might not remember what-
Roger was the man who got us the water rights.
Yeah. So, so he built it so that the community could use it, but their primary focus at that time was for soccer training. When they moved away from RSL, they created a foundation. So it's the
Utah Youth Sports Academy Foundation.
Yeah, the UYSFL. They created this foundation so that they could continue to grow youth soccer. That's kind of their priority as the foundation. They still own the one down in Harriman. So their goal is to promote youth soccer. So when he first did that, their goal was just to use it for soccer. And then there were some hours for the high school, some hours for the city. We had a use agreement at that time that specified hours we could use. And so as a rec department, Jesse was maximizing those hours. They had on-site management at that time. They had the whole RSL
The foundation, correct?
The whole, no, the RSL program. So Real Salt Lake, their youth soccer, they had a different week. But anyway, they were running day-to-day operations. They were running the building. Now, since they moved it out, they put it under the foundation. So the foundation's focus is still soccer. And so when they put number 1, their primary focus is still soccer. So when they need to use the building, it will be for soccer use. Now, there's still multiple times, like Jesse said, throughout the year, throughout the winter, throughout the peak times when there's not foundation use. So outside of those hours of foundation use, they're scheduled through Jesse now. So with this agreement, it shifts more of that day-to-day operations away from the foundation and from the RSL group and puts it to the city. So the city now schedules the building and the city uses it for for foundation use, recreation use, high school use, open use. I mean, the building is used more now, just as we've been using it roughly under this umbrella of the agreement than ever before. Like we have more programs. Jesse could probably go through. We have way more people using the building now. And so that was the goal with the foundation, is to say, let's get it open for everybody to use, but their primary focus is still soccer. Because
So-
that's the group they use.
One more point along those lines is to reiterate that. So there's already an agreement in place. We had very limited hours at that time. Jesse taking over management and basically running under as if this agreement were in place for the last 2 months, kind of an experimental type thing. The programming is more than doubled. I mean, the building is used all day for a myriad of different uses, from football to baseball to ultimate frisbee, exercise class. And then he's using the upstairs room and he's converted that into like a multi-use programming room. Classes, guitar, tumbling, you name it. Jesse's been running all of those things. So yeah, it's more than doubled the use. And so basically this agreement formalizes what's taking place right now and how Jesse's been doubling that usage there. And it's a lot more open to basically the residents of the community now.
Because we're controlling the scheduling. The foundation wasn't as open as what you're saying.
Yeah, Jesse's there 24/7 and he needs to go home at some time.
It just seemed, yeah.
So it kind of specifies that the programming shall focus on soccer training leagues and events to maximize revenue for the foundation. So in the foundation, like we said, their focus was soccer. They didn't have other revenue sources. And so if you look at Jesse's program, I mean, he could bring his list now. There's multiple programs using the building that aren't soccer. But that was their primary focus and continues to be their primary focus.
And they're saying on Saturdays it's soccer exclusively.
Not exclusive, no. It's just it just is
shall be reserved exclusively for the foundation's programming, which is soccer.
right. So the foundation programming, if they have a full day of soccer, then their programming would take precedent. But if they don't have a full day of soccer, then it wouldn't be for the foundation program. So that's where it's kind of great. It's like the foundation has a soccer program. So Jesse's running that program, the scheduling for them. But if it's not a full 8 hour or the however many hour window it is, then it's open for whatever else is available. So, and that's during those winter months, because like we said, that was the original intent of the building.
And the foundation still owns the building.
Correct.
Are we paying to use the building or what is our agreement with?
So if you scroll
foundation?
down,
Oh, the foundation saw its full ownership of the building?
Yeah.
Okay.
so
that
they
changes
pay
things
all
a
the
little bit.
fees
Okay.
or the bills. So that's why we're trying to maximize the revenue for the building.
Should have just started with that. I didn't realize. that.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah. So they still
Scratch my
own it.
concerns, just wasted 15.
We don't own it at all.
Then we kick back. yeah.
So what Jesse's maximizing for the foundation use and for winter usage, they go back and they use that money for the foundation to maintain the building, to pay the the utilities for the building and to keep the building out, this building and the other buildings.
So the foundation is actually quite happy to have Jesse.
Yeah.
They're jazzed
And
about it.
yeah, thank you.
I heard he's got
Released.
nothing to do, so it was
They
like,
weren't at first until they saw what he's done and now they're totally on board.
I was worried that you were being strong armed.
No.
And now it's, now
So
it's clear.
like Alan
so.
mentioned before, we were really limited. Jesse was extremely limited on what he was able to do in that building. And what he was able to provide for the community, and not just our community, but for the valley, the high school. And now it's a lot more open. Like you can talk to a lot of the teams. It's a lot more available than it was before.
Do we have
Yep.
most of the exclusive privileges to have Jesse running it for mostly North Logan, or is this something that needs to be shared with the other cities?
So the building itself is open to anyone, like regardless of who they're affiliated with. But the city, our city, North Logan City Recreation Programs have precedent in the building of use as well.
Okay, good.
Cool. The other cities do not have that opportunity, but they can come to Jesse and booth.
Okay,
I will move that we authorize the signing of the updated use agreement with the Hanson Family Sports Complex.
Second.
okay, motion by Buzzy, second by Craig, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that's unanimous. Jesse, again, thanks for your work on this, and Jordan as well. Thanks for making us look good.
Jesse, you got to get in front of the microphone more often.
Yeah,
Gotta
you're
get you a standing
natural.
agenda item.
The next tour should be at the RC, at the HSC.
We're just waiting for an invite, Jesse.
Yep. Should we go on a Saturday?
Formal dress. Okay. We will move on now to the city council work session items. The first is updates regarding North Logan's water capital improvement projects.
Sorry, I'm back. Thank you for coming to the plant a couple weeks last week.
No.
It was great.
It was super interesting.
It's wild, huh?
Wish I could
Yeah.
have gone.
So if you guys want to come back in the spring when the water is actually flowing and we're using it, the backwash is running, all the stuff's running, hit us up anytime. We'll take you back. The other thing, well, 5 bid for the building. The bids are coming back this week. We close on Friday afternoon. We've already heard back from 5 contractors with questions about the building. So that's good that we were getting a lot of feedback back on that. USDA, I heard back from them again. We're still just waiting in line for our turn. With the holidays, they anticipate it'll be January.
When they begin the review.
Yeah.
Okay.
But once they start the review, they don't leave us until it's done.
And
so
do you
we're
have any sense of how long that takes?
I don't, when we talked to them the first time, they said it would be about a month. So
Okay.
it goes, but they go through everything with us, all the plans, all of the review, the environmental impacts, all that stuff. So the other thing, after we met with you, Zach has met with John. He's going to reach out to the businesses again that were interested in the Flip the Strip program here after the holidays. And then we will begin to look into some options for residential. So here in the coming we'll probably come back with some options for residential Flip the Strip to present and see what you guys want to do.
Great.
Cool.
Okay, thank you, Jordan.
Thank you.
Updates on the Civic Center.
And Jordan may have to help me with this too, but I'll just get started. And then when I mess up, the mayor and
We're
Jordan.
seeing work done. That's half the battle.
So the key access points for, let me pull this up on this so it's easier to describe. Okay, so this is where, you want to see the cursor, the giant cursor? Okay, this is where the city office will go. In order to put that building in and block this access essentially permanently, we've got to start putting 600 East through. That's why we approved that modified agreement with Smiling H. So they started putting this road in. There's already a water line in there. We'll tie the water line in through here. That's what they're doing right now. And then also throughout the entire construction process, until this is formalized, this access coming through here, we need a secondary access that comes out through here so that the police don't have to run from their police station out to the road to get into their vehicles. It'll also provide some quicker access as they do the construction as well. Because we'll have a large amount of construction over the next couple of years in this area. We'll have our city offices and then the community center in this area. And hopefully following that, some additions if we can get things together for the police station as well, because they're bursting at the seams. Looking at all this progress though through this area, that's construction updates. So basically the water line, secondary access, they've grubbed the site, cleared the site, and they're ready to start constructing. After that, they'll start putting in foundations and doing the underground utility work. Everything from water, sewer, electrical, and gas at that point. And then the other thing that we're working on is still fundraising for the community center portion, which would be right here where this parcel number is located, and kind of laid out in that area. And so that's one of the next steps, is just closing the gaps on any funding that we need for that building. And then we'd finalize the designs at that point and move forward. Did I miss anything, Mayor? I probably left out some key points.
I don't think so. I think that's about it. Any questions from the council?
My only concern, I mean, I like how we have a separate entrance into the police station right now, going through the library. You've got small children, you have more people. There's a lot more parking lot space to have to get through if there is an emergency. So I guess I'm still concerned for them coming in and out of where we need them to have quick access.
That's a key point. That's why we blocked off this area where parking used to occur. So no one will be walking across the entire parking lot and this area will be left open.
How wide is it?
I can measure it.
What would
20
you say
feet.
the incidence of
2 lanes.
coming out, what do they call that? Hot. Oh, that's not as exciting as I was hoping. Coming in hot. Do you ever radio that at all? Can you? No? Okay.
Yeah, he'll just do by policy to have to hit 25th before they light them up.
I've come in hot into your station, but
When you say light them up, including.
Light them up.
You know how
That's,
wide you have the lights on?
that's acceptable. And Joni, I know we've kind of talked at length about this because it's not a great solution, but we're trying to make it the best solution that we can for that temporary access. So,
And then over time, this will become more and more of the primary access over the next several months.
and the sixth
Sixth
east,
east.
yeah. So they'll have that main road to use. Okay. Any other input, questions? Okay, we'll move on to reports from city officers, boards and committees. We'll begin with Chief Hannick. We haven't seen you for a little while. Merry Christmas.
Ready, go.
Thank you, and sorry I haven't seen you lately. Just a quick update. As we close out this year, it's been a busy year for us, actually monumental in the fact of collectively, we're going to run more calls than we did with all of the county in the busiest year, which was 2019. So we're going to surpass that this year. That's trend has followed in North Logan, where we passed our last year's total at the end of October. And so we're well over 100. We'll probably be closer to 200. So we'll be about 25% more call volume this year than last year. So that's where we stand right now. He mentioned the Dennis Leary grant. We're super excited about that. Since 9/11, he has had a grant fund to help fire departments throughout the nation. We applied with this hopes that maybe we would get this. We applied for extrication equipment, which are e-tools. 120 is our only station that doesn't have them. So we're excited to be able to get them and have that service available for North Logan citizens. Also, and this is kind of on the heels of last year's legislation, HB 23 was a legislation for mental health for public safety. It requires us to provide mental health services to spouses, family, and retirees. With that mandate, there was some funding available. We applied and was able to get that funding to take care of our employees, families, and retirees. So that was actually a big money grant and a great opportunity for us to bolster our system and help our people get the services they need to stay mentally healthy. And that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Just curious, is the elevator rescue, is that Three Peaks?
That's a great question. I don't
Just
know.
curious, there are only so many elevators in our city,
Yeah, there
so.
isn't very many. So
I think he
And
was,
Trash Fire
it
gets
was-
its own
gets its own one. 'cause
piece
we
of the
had
pie.
one. Yeah.
I think the elevator was in Pioneer Valley.
Pioneer
Oh,
Valley
yeah,
is
that's
the
right.
only
That
other
was
one.
Pioneer
Valley Lodge.
Okay, just curious.
Is that higher just because we came out of COVID? So because that seems pretty high.
Well, actually, COVID had its dip. There was portions of the year that were lower by nature, but even in 2019, when we were all collectively with Sims, our total was 5,763 calls. We're going to hit close to 5,900 this year. North Logan has been in that range to 600, and now they're creeping up to be closer to 900 this year. So it's just the nature. We're busier, more active. You're right. COVID did probably play a part in a little dip in some of the service calls, but actually we had more fires in the year of COVID than we had any other year, even greater than this year. So it's hard to say. I mean, those are just things that are interesting.
There's been a lot of chimney fires. Do you think we need to do a chimney sweep article? I mean, clean your chimney. I mean, people are dumb.
My article is for January.
Yeah, because I've in my I bought the house I grew up for my parents, and I don't even dare use my wood burning stove downstairs because it's been 30 plus years. I mean,
Yeah, I bought a house there in North Logan and my kids wanted to start a fire downstairs. I said, oh, let me look up the chimney first.
no, so I think that's good. I
And then it
just,
happened.
it seems like there's.
Because it needs to be serviced too.
You know,
Okay,
Okay, thank you.
okay, thanks, Chief Panic. All right, Chief Goodrich.
So we are moving right along. Right along with Chief Hannock, we are seeing that our calls are increasing this year too. So this week, during the week, we had our department Christmas party. And at the time of that party at 3:00 PM, we pulled our calls to see where we were compared to last year, 2021. And we were within one call. So one call of exactly matching where we were at that time last year. So we're beyond that. This week, we also had an increase in accidents with the snow. We're seeing more of that. We're seeing more of medicals too. We had 24 medicals from the 4th until the 10th that our officers handled. Another big thing that just to put on everybody's radar. Last time we talked about the fraud presentations for the elderly abuse, elderly fraud. That presentation is actually done, and our first one is scheduled for next Wednesday to the Pioneer Valley Lodge. And then once that goes out, then we're going to start signing or getting the other assisted living centers on board with that as well and offering that out. So that's going out.
That's wonderful.
It's a good thing. It was well received. They want it as quick as they can get it. And they've actually had 2 fraud cases in the Pioneer Valley Lodge that we're handling right now. Dealing with. So it's a need, and it's a way to help with that we're going to do. This week, we also saw Shop with a Cop. That was a great success. We had law enforcement from every agency in the valley, as well as outside from Preston City that came down, and Franklin County that helped with that too. So that was a big effort and a good representation on our part as well. And last couple things, I guess. Our fingerprint machine is up and going. We can submit things electronically now. We've had several that have come in, and that's starting to be recognized. So I put that out there for the notes and the recording that it is available. We're doing that on Tuesdays until the people are not coming in anymore. Then our guys going back out to work on that, but that is available. And then the ride-alongs, we offer that again to the city council. If you're still interested, we'd love to have you do that. So,
Who do we have left? Who hasn't done it?
I would like to go.
okay.
How many of us would you like at one time?
So we're scheduling 2 hours right now, and we can do 2 per night. And the weekends we're finding are a little bit busier.
Friday
So
night?
If you'd like to schedule Thursday, Friday, we could do that.
I wouldn't
go Friday.
recommend these two doing it
I can go Friday.
simultaneously.
I'm sorry.
Let's go Friday.
Who was you two that you were referring to?
You talking about Emily and I?
Yeah, you guys shouldn't be together.
We-
They need
That's fine.
you guys
Very
should be behind
fun.
the cage. That's
Yeah,
fine.
tell
Right.
good jokes.
Talk about 1990s movies.
Yeah,
Great night.
I see
can we
nothing
Friday?
wrong with this.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm in.
Let me see if I can
That's
make
on you.
Friday. Let
That's
me see
on
if I
you.
can make Friday work for me, but yes.
Okay,
I'll call Sherry. I have a question for you, Chief.
You bet.
Oh,
Go ahead.
age before beauty.
Jeez.
Boy.
Are you seeing increases with the deer? Cars versus deer, anything like that? Is that increasing problem yet?
Interesting. My daughter hit a deer. So yes, but I think right now we're okay with where we're at on that. So
Yeah, just probably keep an eye. I know there's some other communities still doing herd control. I know we used to do it. We don't now, and I understand those problems why. But at some point, we're gonna need to do something. That herd is getting bigger and bigger pretty quick.
the next council, let me do some research on that, and I'll bring some info to present on that.
There's 20 deer behind my house. It looks like 5 or 6 are limping. So they're happening, but they're living.
But they're living through it. They're
that is irrefutable evidence right there.
Yeah.
You can call him in if you need more info. Okay, yeah, that'd be a good thing, maybe even to discuss at police commission, just because it falls under the police umbrella.
You bet.
But yeah, that is a concern that I've heard about as well.
A lot.
Uh,
So my question, Chief, I had 7 calls this week. And I was going to just visit with you on this, but I'll bring it up to the rest of the council. But on 3100 North and 1200 East this week, the kids in the morning going to the high school are slipping into that intersection. Have you had calls there? And
But call it slipping here.
They're coming down the hill and they're hitting their brakes and they're sliding into that intersection that stops going east to west because
Okay.
of the slope.
Because of the slope on it.
Yeah, and I think we've talked about that as a council about why we have the stop signs that direction for speed abatement. But I wonder if we need to consider in the winter like a seasonal change to that intersection. I know the
That
idea
would be-
I know. Hear me out on this though. But so I went down this week because my son called and said that he saw somebody hit somebody at that intersection. So I went down and slid right through it too. But I was smart enough to go slow enough that I went like 2 feet into the intersection. I didn't hit anybody. But I think with the snows we're having, what's your recommendation there? And I'm seeing some nods
More
in the
salt?
audience. So I know it's not just my kid that can't drive.
Yeah.
And he's not a great driver.
I think it's more
but-
salt at the
yeah.
intersection before we get to flipping an intersection, because that would be an absolute nightmare.
Especially like changing it. I think that's. pretty-
Oh,
The-
yeah.
The changing, I think, would be very problematic.
'Cause then everybody
going
down
back
remember,
and
yeah,
forth.
yeah.
Part of the problem, you have young inexperienced high school kids who are
Yep.
coming down who haven't really driven in the winter and they get going too fast and then they're hitting that. So some of that is an education and some of that, I think maybe we could communicate better with our snowplow drivers and having sand or maybe hitting those areas first with sand or more sand on that. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's been
Ryan
a
can speak to
crazy.
that perhaps.
Yeah, the next step in the process is you would make that a four-way stop. Instead of it flipping the
Yeah.
two-way intersections are a nightmare.
That doesn't solve the
But-
problem though in this case, right? Because they're bumping into the cars in front of them that are stopped.
Yeah, so the issue
So-
is just a little bit more assault, people going a little slower, and that's basically the
Yeah.
solution at this point.
Or you flip the stop signs. There's another solution. That's why I'm bringing it
Yes,
up now.
make it a stop today.
Don't make it so simple.
You better slow down because it might be a stop. But is it a Wednesday? Because that's only on Thursday.
Well, in all seriousness, I'm just, as I went down there, I thought, what's the safest scenario here? And are we safer because we're keeping speeds in check? Maybe we are. Or are we safer switching that and not having these kids slamming into the back of the cars in front of them?
One thing to look
So-
at as well is if it were in any other community, you would have a foot of snow. Does that slow them down even more? I don't know.
I think you should.
You're
You
just
really
not
don't
gonna
want to
stop
put
bringing
those
up
signs.
Plow
This is
City
like-
here.
This is the sword you're gonna die on, or a couple stop signs.
So Alan, once 12th East further south goes through, what's the long-term plan there? Like as far as the direction of the stop, is it
We
four-way?
just basically take the raw data. It's just like 2,500 like in 8 east. When we look at the traffic counts, the number of accidents, everything that's taking place along there. And when it warrants a four-way stop, we put a four-way stop in, and then the next steps, we either have to analyze a light or we have to analyze a roundabout at that point.
Maybe that's what we can do. Could we collect the data this winter on incidents at that intersection, specifically going west?
Absolutely. That's something that I could pull and have available in our calls. As far as other ways, the amount of traffic coming down, I think that's just a traffic counter.
And there's also like, maybe even just having someone on that road,
Yeah.
in those
visibility.
kind of scenarios, just when they see a police car, I think they slow
Tell
down.
you a quick funny story. They patrol that road really well. My wife goes to Smithfield to the gym at 5 o'clock. She got pulled over one morning. The next morning, the officer just walked up when he pulled over, says, I have your information from yesterday. Let me just write your ticket. And then at the city party the other night, 2 of your officers come in and I told one of them, I says, you're not one of those guys that pulled my wife over 2 days in a row and rolled her. Yeah, she was doing 46 and 30 and he remembered.
Well, and in fairness to her too, that road, you do pick up speed. And so by the time you would hit that four-way, you're still gonna slide through.
Slide right
A
through it.
roundabout would probably be a better fit for that.
So
but
they
if
can get
there's
some
a
air?
question-
When
No, it's just that
Haven't you seen the kids? They're just going right over the roundabouts
Each-
now.
each
Have you guys
of you-
noticed that?
Each of
Like,
you
when
might
see them
want
On
to,
the roundabouts, they just pop right over them in the morning. Yeah.
just so everyone knows with
You want to
signalized
find food
intersections
vacations?
and everything else. We're basically running on borrowed time. The reason that we've got so many is because North Logan was really good at applying for grants. Each of those intersections, those roundabouts are $600,000.
Oh, I
And it
think
was
those are
just
pretty
because we
less.
got the grants that we put them in. They were all paid for. We don't have $600,000. And then a lighted intersection is about 300.
Dollars?
Yes, 300,000.
300,000.
And so we used RDA monies to put the one in on 25th and Wolfpack. So keep that in mind as well. It's a big step when we go above a four-way stop.
How does that fix 3,112?
I'm just stating
I'm just
the
gonna keep-
reality
I'm
that's
just
in
gonna
front
keep
of
going.
us going forward.
So, and I think we also have 31 and 16th, not the same issue, but like with accidents on non-snowy days. I think you have
That's
to
true.
consider, let's not do a permanent solution to a temporary problem. You know, not that I'm not concerned about those snow days, but I don't know that we should, adjust the
Maybe-
traffic
Maybe
patterns
it's
to
tires
address.
and cheap parents.
Well,
I'm tired.
I think at the very minimum, we should see the data.
Yeah,
You know,
I'm
maybe-
not
maybe
afraid of the
adjust it
data.
elsewhere.
And I can bring that certainly. I think the simplest solution for right now is more visibility and some communication with the salt. You know, if it's slippery, then we can relay that.
Yeah, that sounds
Well,
great.
yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Oh, yeah, I think that's true. Ryan? Scott? Jordan, you're next.
I just want to give you guys a quick update. We've got a busy agenda tomorrow on planning commission. That'll be in the pipeline for you guys to be looking at probably in July. We have a public hearing to discuss some amendments to our language regarding parking lots and surface materials. There's been some confusion with what materials are required for parking lots and for parking spaces for land uses, both commercial and residential. So we're just adding some clarification into our code that it is paved asphalt or concrete. So we'll have a public hearing on that tomorrow at the Planning Commission. We're also looking to establish a timeline for expiration on concept plans on subdivisions. So if a development is proposed as a concept, they don't move forward, it would expire. Previously, right now, our code basically says it's open-ended, there's not a date. So we're just clarifying that. We're also working on some language to potentially address the location that storage units are allowed in the city, where they're allowed, and we're putting some thought into that. So that'll be coming up. We also submitted a grant request for some UDOT funds to help us with a general plan update in 2023. We won't hear back until end of first quarter, beginning of second quarter of 23 on whether or not we got those funds, but kind of gearing up for a general plan is kind of on our docket as well. I just wanted to bring you up to speed on that. You'll see those in your pipeline in the next little bit.
Thank you, Scott. Jordan? Oh, okay. Alan?
Just the mayor's message and then upcoming events. Who has it for January? It's you, Mayor.
It's me. Yeah.
You already know that. And then just upcoming events. Chief Goodrich already went over Shop with the Cop, huge success. Library programs are coming up. Silent Santa. I think Jesse is basically full on that and he's trying to expand it. It's for persons with disabilities to come and they individually meet with Santa, each of the families. And it's a fantastic program. He's expanded that each year. And so that one's expanding as well on December 10th. And to Buzzy's credit, valid question. This is one of the things that we've added to the HSC. So he's able to do these types of programs now at the HSC. And then obviously Christmas lighting contest, watch for that on social media. And then just down through, you have the sports sampler, the NFL combine. I may or may not have participated in the last one and the Broncos may have reached out to me. I don't know. They're pretty bad right now. So anywho, that's a fun activity for the whole family. Come down, run through a bunch of drills. It's pretty fun. And then New Year's at noon. And what that is it's a countdown for kids. So they can't stay up till midnight. And so they count down to noon at the HSC.
Reserve a spot for Roger.
Yes.
He's the Grand Master.
Yeah, or anyone who can't stay up till midnight, Roger. And then the thing I mentioned before is just the library gala. That's at the Riverwoods, and that's a fundraising activity for the community center expansion.
Is registration for that open?
Yeah, I think
The
it
gala?
is.
I think
Yes.
That's the where you have to dress up in like 1930s.
No, you can.
Well,
come in like a
1930s.
suit.
I think it's
Understand-
dressy, but I don't think
Right
it's
now.
formal.
Jane Austen-esque,
Like
kind of
tuxedo
dance
formal?
and
I don't think so.
what was it?
No,
You can if you want to, is my understanding.
don't act like you don't have a Regency costume, Buzzy. Okay,
I don't have a region.
So, sorry, those are just the upcoming events. Just wanted to bring everyone up to date on that. Lots of things going on at the library rec and just wanted to keep everyone in the loop. That's
Okay.
it.
all right. Anything from the council before we adjourn?
No.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion.
Adjourn.
Motion by
Second.
Craig, second by Buzzy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, that passes. Thanks, everyone.
Tell me that was.